reassuring because the media really pounced on Spirit, and I think that some of the other larger carriers were pouncing on Spirit to try to beat the drum of this is what's going to really happen. And I never believed that to be true. And even the aircraft maker, the CEO of, or no, the biggest lessor of Airbus, which is a company based in Ireland that was our largest plane financer. In an interview on CNET, he said we wouldn't be investing in them if we didn't think that they were going to make it. So, you had all the reasons to believe in the fear, but it was a choice, and I never chose to because I've been here for 27 years, and we've been through a lot. We would get to the hotels sometimes when I first started, and they'd say you can't stay because there's a $30,000 tab. And then the captain would write a check because we had set up some place to make sure that was okay. And the bills got paid, But like I'd seen all the ups and downs, I'd been to the smallest hotels and I'd been to the most luxury hotels with balconies over the ocean and foreign countries that I never imagined I'd get to see or be at. But our last teleconference, which was I think was supposed to be on last Thursday, it was canceled, and then it was zero. It was zero for the next 2 days until the news broke.
When the news broke, what kind of communication did you receive from Spirit?
We received an email from our CEO, expressing his regret and disappointment and thanking us for our efforts and our contributions, and telling us about exit strategies and what we had access to and how long we would have access to it for, as well as like payouts and such. Other than that, you couldn't really do anything else.
I know we've talked about a lot of the ups and downs that the company has had, and being an employee who has been there for so long, in your opinion, what was the tipping point that led to this?
Well, it was a perfect storm. It's really hard to say. Well, it's really not hard to say. It was Trump's war with Iran. That was the point that broke it. There was a lot of additions up until then. There was a lot of hurdles that we went through. There was a lot of states that were against the merger that joined the Department of Justice in the lawsuit. So, there's a lot of the aircraft recall, the COVID, but the tipping point was Trump's war with Iran. That was not approved by Congress.
And it drove up the jet fuel prices, and then it became unaffordable.
Right, unaffordable completely. And I see that the other airline carriers are saying that they're going to, they're promising to keep prices low for a set amount of time, but we're not in a different reality. The jet prices are still going up. And what's unfortunate is that when we pulled out of, I believe it was Minneapolis last year, ticket prices went up 60%. So even if you didn't fly Spirit, you still benefited because Spirit Airlines existed. And that doesn't exist anymore. So we'll see what the next chapter in aviation looks like.
It's very interesting that you bring that up because it is also uncertain. What do you think is going to happen?
As far as aviation, well, I believe that JetBlue or Frontier are also not in the best state. They have different backers, they have different investors, and they have motions that they'll go through. But I believe that if the jet prices continue to stay at what they are and higher, I believe that congressional action will have to happen, and they will have to help them out, and it will cause a pain, knowing that that happens for others, but it didn't happen for us when we needed it most. And that's not to say that the others don't deserve it, because I, I've always called us a Sky family, and I always will. We're a Sky family no matter who we work for. When we get on board, we just know each other, and we just give each other that amount of respect that we deserve.
How will Spirit closing affect the passengers?
Well, I'm sure plenty of them have already been interviewed, but I know that a lot of people have told me stories about, family members that have terminal cancer or have Alzheimer's or dementia. And, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't be able to get back and forth to see them as much as they do. So, it sucks because, we're supposed to help those that need it most. And that's kind of what our airline did, was help those that needed it most. And, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm still numb in a way, so.
I completely understand that. And finally, where do you go from here? Are you worried about your future?
I've led a real spiritual path since my early 20s. And a lot of the impossibles in my life. Can I have a sip of water? My last sip. I'll start that over. Yeah. I've led a real spiritual path since my early 20s. And miracles have constantly unfolded in my life in ways that I could never fathom. Does that mean that I don't genuinely have fear? The fear is there, but I'm still so numb. I still believe that I'm going to work. I still believe that I still have to pack my bags and go somewhere, because that's all I know. As far as finances go, it's not a budget-friendly city that we live in anymore here in beautiful Palm Springs. But I have to sit down and really take a look, and there's also something else that's taken place that really feels really unique, is that all of the other airlines have reached out. And I've never seen that before. I've heard stories when ATA would close, and they left their flight attendants stranded around the world, and they had to find their own way. They had to get their own rooms and their own flights, and they'd have to, no matter if they were on the other side of the globe. And similar other airlines that have closed. But this time, it feels so different, because flight attendants today are sending me special pages that the airlines are setting up, especially for Spirit Airlines employees, to prioritize their applications in front of others. So after we finish this, I'm probably going to start writing novels of applications. But as far as what that's going to look like, I don't know. I don't know if I can stay here and live in Palm Springs, or I don't know if I'm going to have to find a way to move across the other side of the country, or how it may be, because I've lived here for 20 years, so I had a system. So I already forgot the question because I've been talking so long, but yeah.
Just your future and what's
next. I cannot not have hope. Hope has been instilled in me. Faith has been instilled in me. And so has grieving. And so has a sense of abandonment. And so has a sense of denial. And I just have to make sure that I honor all those stages of this process. Because if I don't, then, I could end up creating more problems than solutions, which I know from firsthand that if I don't look at a solution, then I'm going to contribute to the problem. So, with a lot of love, I'm hoping that I'm knowing that things will move forward and that my next chapter will begin, and I will still be amazed.
You are going to be amazing. What you just mentioned kind of made me think of one other question. Did Spirit offer any exit packages or anything of the sorts? Any sort of like pay for you guys or just any support?
That would be lovely. But I mean, we have our retirement fund that they helped contribute, that I don't know what to do with because I have no idea on math or finances. But I'm going to have to speak to somebody to figure out what to do with it, because I don't want to use it. I don't want to use what's intended for when I get to an age that I need it. I don't want to use it right now. So they're just giving us the vacation that we were owed, or the sick time that we had acquired, or such. And that's just the union part of it. I don't know about the hourly staff or the non-union members. I don't think they get those things.
And then you mentioned in the past when airlines had shut down, some of the flight attendants had to figure out their own way to get back. Was that the case in this situation? Were there coworkers that you knew that were somewhere really far, and did Spirit get them back, or did they have to get themselves back?
That too is also something I'm actually very proud of our airline. I think I could probably still call my scheduler right now, and if I told them that I was stuck somewhere, that they would book me a flight home. And not only that, but all of the airlines, American, Delta, United, Southwest, JetBlue, I'm sure others, they have extended our flight benefits. So if we're stuck somewhere, for the next 2 weeks or such, we can still get to where we need to go. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes it a Sky family. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add, Jonathan, that we didn't talk about?
There's a stereotype to flight attendants, with good reason. But there's so much more in reality to flight attendants that's beyond the scope of this stereotype. From first responders to suddenly having to deliver babies, or resuscitate somebody back to life, or hold a baby while the mother can take a moment to calm their nerves. To also having to be away from people in life for a certain amount of days. To learning how to say goodbye. To being okay with being gone. It's not for everyone. But through that channel, I have developed some of the nearest and dearest in people in my life that are forever for me, that they are family, that I probably wouldn't exist without their existence. So I just want to, for the Spirit crew that sees this, and the NK family and all of the Sky family, I just want to say thank you for what you do, and keep doing it. And I hope to see you again soon.